She was just another face in the crowd. Working late shifts at a busy downtown diner, she moved between tables with practiced ease, smiling even when her feet hurt and her heart felt heavy. Her name didn't matter much to most people. To them, she was just the waitress. Someone who brought coffee, wiped spills, and listened to complaints like they were part of the service. She had dreams once, big ones. She used to sing all the time, in the shower, while walking home, even while stacking dishes behind the counter. But over time, those songs got quieter. Life had a way of doing that. Bills piled up, people stopped listening, and eventually, she just stopped singing out loud. One night changed everything. It wasn't anything special at first, just another Thursday full of tired commuters and loud tourists. She was humming softly to herself as she wiped down a table. Some old soul, tune her mom used to play. A man sitting nearby smirked and called out, "Hey, if you're gonna sing, at least do it right." The table laughed. Some rolled their eyes. Others barely looked up from their phones. She smiled politely, nodded, and kept working. But inside, something stirred. Not anger, more like a quiet fire she thought had gone out a long time ago. Later that night, after her shift, she walked through the empty streets with headphones on, replaying the moment. She hadn't sung for anyone in years. Not really. But maybe, just maybe, it was time. The next day, an unexpected visitor came into the diner, a TV producer grabbing a quick bite before heading to a casting call across town. He overheard her talking with a coworker about trying out for a talent show. He asked, almost jokingly, "You any good?" She hesitated, then said, "I don't know. I guess there's only one way to find out." He handed her a flyer and said, "Auditions are tomorrow. Be brave." That night, she sat on her small apartment couch, staring at the paper in her hands. Fear whispered in her ear, reminding her of every time someone had made fun of her voice, every reason she should stay small. But underneath it, there was something else. Hope. Quiet, but strong. She packed her bag, set her alarm, and for the first time in a long time, she believed maybe, just maybe, her voice was worth hearing. The next morning, she woke up before the alarm. The flyer was still on the table, half folded, like she'd been staring at it all night in her sleep. Her stomach felt tight, not sick, just nervous, like when you know you're about to do something that could change everything. She got ready slowly, choosing an outfit that didn't scream, "Look at me," but made her feel like herself. She packed a small bag with a hairbrush, some lip balm, and a lucky charm she used to carry back when she sang for school plays. That felt like a lifetime ago. When she walked into the audition hall, the place was full of people who looked like they belonged. Dancers, singers, kids with managers and earpieces. She stood there for a second, wondering if she'd made a mistake. But then she remembered the laugh from the diner, the smirks, the silence that always followed her dreams. And she kept walking. Backstage, they asked if she wanted makeup or help warming up. She shook her head. She didn't need anything but her voice. On stage, the lights were blinding at first. The judges couldn't see her yet. They had their backs turned. She took a breath, closed her eyes, and started to sing. It wasn't perfect, nothing flashy. Just her voice, strong and soulful, filling the room like it had been waiting years to be heard. One by one, the judges turned their chairs. Then another, then the last one. Silence, then applause. They asked her name, what she did for work, why she waited so long. She smiled and said, "I've always been singing. People just weren't listening." The crowd clapped again, louder this time. That night, the clip hit social media. Strangers shared it, said things like, "This is what real talent looks like," and "Don't ever stop singing." But the most powerful part, she didn't feel scared anymore. Not even when she saw the faces of the people from the diner commenting below the video. Because now, the whole world was listening. After the audition, everything changed. Fast. The video kept spreading. People were talking about her everywhere. Some said she was the real deal. Others said she was just lucky. But for her, it wasn't about luck. It was about finally being heard. Back at the diner, things got weird. The same customers who once laughed at her now stared like they weren't sure if she was still one of them. A few tried to act friendly, asking for selfies or saying things like, "I always knew you had it in you." Most just stayed quiet, probably hoping she wouldn't remember how they treated her before. She didn't say much, just smiled and kept working until her last shift. Then she packed up her apron, thanked the cook who used to sneak her extra fries when she skipped lunch, and walked out for the last time. Now, rehearsals became her full-time job. She met a vocal coach, dancers, and a whole team helping her get ready for live TV. At first, it felt overwhelming, like she was pretending to be someone she wasn't. But every time doubt crept in, she remembered why she started. Still, not everything was easy. One night, after a tough practice session, she sat alone in her room and cried. Not because she was sad exactly, but because it all felt so heavy. Years of silence, shame, and hiding herself had built a wall inside her, and now that she was standing in the light, it was hard to believe she belonged there. Her sister noticed, sat next to her on the bed and said, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. That's what people love." She nodded, wiped her face and took a deep breath. The next day she went back into rehearsal with fresh energy. She sang louder, laughed more, smiled even when she was nervous. She started telling her story in interviews, not to get sympathy, but to let others know that no matter where you come from, your voice matters. People began seeing her differently, not just as a contestant, but as someone real, someone who fought to be seen. And slowly, she started believing in herself too. By the time the show aired, she wasn't scared anymore. Win or lose, she'd already done something amazing. She'd stood up, spoken out, and sung her truth. And that changed everything. The show aired, and suddenly, she was everywhere. Her face was on phones, tablets, even big screens in the city subway. People were talking, some with admiration, others with doubt. "She's good," some said. "But can she keep it up?" Others whispered. The pressure was real now. Live Performance Week hit hard. No more safety of early rounds. Every note mattered. Every move was watched. She could feel the eyes, not just from the audience, but from people at home, from critics online, even from the other contestants. One night, after a shaky rehearsal, one of the judges pulled her aside. "You've got something rare," they said, "but you have to believe in it. If you don't, no one else will." She nodded, but inside, the fear stayed. What if she wasn't enough? What if this was all just a moment? Then came the first live show. Backstage, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She watched the other performers walk out with confidence, like they were born for this. She wasn't sure she belonged among them. When her turn came, the lights hit her like a wave. The crowd clapped, but not loud enough to drown out the voice in her head telling her she'd fail. She took a breath, closed her eyes, and began to sing. Halfway through, something shifted. Not in the crowd, not on the screen, but inside her. She realized something powerful. She wasn't here because of luck or pity. She was here because she had earned it. A late shift, every ignored dream, every time she kept going when life told her to quit, it had all led to this. By the end of the song, the crowd was on its feet, cheering, some even crying. The judges praised her, but what mattered most was how she felt. That night, sitting alone in her room, she looked at her phone and saw hundreds of messages pouring in. Fans saying how much she'd inspired them. A message from a girl working too, Jobs, who said, "I used to sing too. Maybe I'll try again." She smiled through tears. This wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about showing people that no matter where you start, you can still chase your dream. And for the first time, in a long time, she truly believed that she was meant to be here. Fame came faster than she ever expected. Overnight, strangers recognized her. Some cheered when they saw her. Others stared, whispering like she was someone new and different. She wasn't used to it. Just weeks ago, she was invisible behind a tray of coffee mugs. Now cameras followed every move. At first, it felt exciting. Interviews, photos, even a small crowd waiting outside the studio for a glimpse of her. But soon, the shine started to wear off. People wanted more from her, more songs, more stories, more emotion. They asked questions that dug deep into her past, into the pain she had tried to leave behind. She answered politely, but inside, she felt exposed. Social media turned into a storm. Some messages lifted her up. "You're amazing. Don't stop singing. You made me believe in my dreams too." But others were cruel. "She's not that good. They only picked her because she's a sad story. Waitress by day, fake star by night." She tried not to read them, but once you see one, it's hard not to see them all. Doubt crept back in. Late at night, she sat alone wondering, was she really good enough? Or had this all been a mistake? One morning, after another sleepless night, she almost quit. She told her sister over breakfast, "I don't know if I can do this anymore." Her sister didn't try to stop her. She just said, "If you walk away, that's okay. But make sure you're walking towards something better, not just running from fear." Those words stuck with her. Later that week, during rehearsal, she broke down. The choreographer gave her space. The vocal coach played some soft music and waited. No pressure, no rush. After a while, she stood up, wiped her face, and said, "Let's try again." That night, she posted a short video online. Not a polished performance, not an interview. Just her, sitting on a park bench, talking about how hard it had been to believe in herself. How the pressure was heavy. And how sometimes, even when you're in the spotlight, you still feel lost. People responded like never before. Thousands commented. Hundreds shared their own stories. For the first time in days, she felt something close to peace. She realized something important. Being strong didn't mean never breaking. It meant getting back up when you did. And so, she kept going, not to prove anyone wrong, but to remind herself that she was still in control of her own voice. The final weeks hit like a storm. She was deep into the competition now. The stage was bigger, the lights brighter, the pressure heavier. Every week, someone left, and every time the judges talked about her performance, her heart raced like it might jump out of her chest. She had made it this far, not because of luck, not because of pity, but because she kept fighting. Still, doubt liked to sneak in at the worst times. Was she good enough? Would anyone care if she lost? Then came the week that almost broke her. They asked her to sing something personal, something raw, a song that showed who she really was, not just how well she could hit the notes. She picked one that reminded her of late nights alone, of working 2 jobs just to pay rent, of all the times people told her to stay quiet. She poured everything into it, her voice, her pain, her hope. But when she stepped off the stage, the response didn't feel right. One judge looked unimpressed. "You've done better," they said. Another gave a polite clap. The crowd cheered, but it wasn't thunderous. Like before, backstage she sat alone. Her phone buzzed with messages, but she couldn't bring herself to look. For the first time, she felt like maybe she'd run out of strength. That night, instead of going back to her room, she walked. Down busy streets, past stores with flashing signs, through quiet alleys where no one knew her name. She missed the old days sometimes. Not the shame, not the silence, but the simplicity, when failure didn't feel so public. Then, near a small park bench, she saw a girl sitting alone. She looked young, tired, holding a worn-out notebook filled with lyrics. Without thinking, she walked over and sat beside her. They talked for hours. Turned out the girl worked part-time at a coffee shop and used to sing in school plays until someone told her she wasn't special enough. Now, she barely sang at all. At the end of the night, the girl whispered, "I saw your first audition. It made me start singing again. Thank you." She smiled, eyes full, not because of the praise, but because she realized something. This wasn't just about winning anymore. It wasn't even about proving anyone wrong. It was about giving others the courage to believe in themselves, just like someone had once done, for her, and that changed everything. When she walked back onto the stage the next week, she didn't do it for the votes, the fame, or the cameras. She did it for everyone who ever felt invisible. And this time, she sang for herself. The final night had arrived. The stage was bigger than ever. The crowd stretched as far as she could see. Cameras flashed like stars. This was it. The moment everything had led to. She stood backstage, heart pounding. Not from fear, but from meaning. She looked down at her hands. These same hands had carried heavy trays, wiped tables, clutched dreams so tightly they almost hurt. And now they were steady. When her name was called, she stepped forward. The lights hit her face. The crowd cheered. She took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. This time she didn't sing for the judges, or the votes, or even the win. She sang for every person who had ever felt too small, too broken, too invisible to matter. She sang for herself. As the music played, she closed her eyes and let go. Every note came from somewhere deep, somewhere real. Her voice filled the space, not perfect, not polished, but honest. And that was enough. By the end, there was silence. Just for a heartbeat. Then the room exploded. Standing ovation, cheers, tears. She opened her eyes and saw people on their feet, some waving phones, others just smiling through tears. She smiled back. Not because she won, but because she finally felt free. Later, when the results came, it didn't matter as much as she thought it would. Whether she stood on top or stepped aside, she had already won something no trophy could measure: belief in herself and in the people watching. Weeks later, life had changed. Again, she wasn't just the waitress anymore, but she didn't forget where she came from. She used her voice not just to sing, but to speak up for others who still felt unseen. She released her first single. It wasn't about fame or money. It was about rising after falling. About keeping your head up when no one else believes in you, and people listened. One day, she returned to the old diner, not to work, but to sing. She stood in the corner with a mic, and as she began to sing, the whole place fell silent. The cook smiled behind the counter. The manager clapped. Even the customers who once laughed now watched with pride. After the song ended, a young girl approached her shyly. "I want to sing too," she said, barely above a whisper. She knelt down and smiled. "Then sing." Because now she wasn't just chasing her dream anymore. She was lighting the path for others to chase theirs.